Okay, so it looks like you have chosen to draw a donut. To do that, we're going to need to check a few things before we get started. When we click on the shape tool, you might have your computer start off with a rectangle or a square. Press and hold until you see the ellipse tool. We're going to start with that. And then on the right hand side, you'll see that the fill right now is 0 or empty. That red line indicates no color. We want to change that to white. You can click on the white box. Also, I want you to check the stroke. The stroke should be black. And the size of the brush stroke can be, I wouldn't do 3. I would do 2. 1 or 2. Okay? All right, so we're going to start with an oval. And you're going to tilt it. To tilt it, you're going to hover near the corner, look for the bent arrow, and then click and drag. And right now, this is still selected because that's the shape I just created. You know that it's selected because of the blue dot in the center and the blue square around it. To unselect this shape, you can either go to Select, Deselect at the top, or on the keyboard, you can hold Command-Shift-A, and that will remove the selection. All right, so we need to draw the icing with a pencil. To get the pencil to pop up, you press N as in Nancy on the keyboard. And now I'm ready to draw. So the outside edge is raised above the donut just a little bit. And then when you get to the bottom, you're going to create some kind of little drip. And this can be as wavy or as smooth as you like. And then now that I'm coming back to the donut, I don't really want it to be too far away from the oval. As I get close to closing the shape, you're going to see a 0 pop up next to the pencil. That tells me that the shape is closed, and that's what I want. At this point, you can look at the shape and decide if that's really the shape that you wanted. Let's fill this with white paint again. And since it is still selected, it still has those blue dots. If you ended up drawing a shape that was too big or too small or didn't quite fit the donut, remember that the eraser doesn't really work with this type of step in the program. So you can go to the black arrow, which is your selection tool, and you can adjust the size of the icing, okay, to make it fit. You can make it smaller, a little bit taller if you like, closer to the original oval shape, whatever it is that you'd like to do. If you want to move it, remember to touch it on the actual outline, okay? All right, so it is selected. I have to deselect, so Command-Shift-A. And now I'm going to draw the inside of the donut. Pressing N on the keyboard, and I'm going to not make it as drippy as the outside. This line on the top, or actually it's the underneath part, should be a little bit more smooth. This line right here is the top of the icing. Now notice I have this little overlapping piece here. I could still work with that, or I could press the minus sign on my keyboard. That gives me an option to get rid of one of these curves. I press that and suddenly that shape changes, and that's what I wanted. So this is good. Now at this point, again, I could readjust it. I could decide, oh, okay, this isn't wide enough, or it's not in the right place. So feel free to make those adjustments. Inside of this shape should be the donut itself and probably some of the background. So I'm going to go back to my pencil. This is selected, so I hit Command Shift A, and I'm going to draw, I'm going to repeat this line here. I'm going to trace this, but then draw this shape, and I'm going to, there's the closed indicator. All right, so now I have a shape to indicate this space should match the background, whatever I decide the background to be out here. For now though, I will fill it with white so there's no confusion. All right, so I'm going to also check to make sure this shape is filled with white. All right, so now I have my basic donut drawn. You would need to add whatever your theme is to your donut at this point. The sprinkles, the things sitting on top of it, whatever the extra elements are going to be, you're going to add those, okay? Use a combination of your pencil tool and maybe the shape makers, okay? Now, for a donut, probably you would have more than one. So let's continue this with copying it. So I go to my black arrow. I click on all of the shapes by clicking and dragging. And I go to Object, Group, Edit, Copy. Or on my keyboard, I can choose Command C. And now I go back to Command, but this time I hit V as in Victor. So this one is a duplicate, and I could change it up a little bit so that they don't look like identical twins. I will tilt it a little bit more, and I'm actually going to flip it. Remember, the flip is right here, flip horizontal. All right, so I have two donuts. This one's on top. I could place it, I could keep it on top, or I could place it underneath. And to do that, you would go to Arrange and then Send to Back. And now this donut is behind the other one. I'm going to place it back here. Okay. All right, so after you add your theme to your two donuts, you will move both of these over. You will start to add color and then add a shape in the background. Here's an example of my finished donuts with color. Okay, you're all set. Looking forward to seeing your finished project.